Hey everybody, this is the last show of 2022 here on It Came From Gen X. And on this episode, we're going to talk about world news, trouble brewing in Taiwan with China, something we need to pay attention to. Also, the great Franco Harris, Pittsburgh Steelers legend, has passed away. And in music news, MTV Unplugged. Do you remember that show? What was your favorite episode? And Nepo babies. Have you heard this new phrase going around in Hollywood? And also in pop culture, TikTok, self-dentistry, fad or foolishness. We'll talk about that. And also, do you remember when you got your first color TV? Here it is on It Came From Gen X. Here we go.
This is an It Came From Gen X video.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It is time for It Came From Gen X, and we are excited to be back with you for another fun-filled show. We had a little bit of a break. We also had a little bit of a special combined show with our friends at Convincing Idiots. And man, I just tell you, it's just good to see the guys. You see us all in our It Came From Gen X jerseys, courtesy of our dear friend, Mr. Brian Fisher here. Birthday presents for us all. Our birthdays are all right together. And this was our way of celebrating, and Fisher's way of saying, I don't know, what are you saying? We look like the Kool-Aid apples or Kool-Aid pictures or something. But it's good to see the fellas, man. It's so good to be back. How you doing, Fish?
Doing well, man. And these are our, those that are only listening to us, they're red and black. That was our old high school colors, the Kenmore Cardinals. So it kind of sort of resembles our old jerseys a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And we numbered them as well. Go ahead.
We're winners. That's right. The difference.
Yeah.
You did say wieners, not winners, right?
That's exactly what I said.
I thought so.
Yeah, we were stronger in band and other athletics than football. Football has been our weakest sport there for many, many years. So anyway.
I tell people this often, Fish. You know what my biggest memory is in regards to our football team and our band? Remember when we had to play our victory song and no one remembered it?
That makes sense.
We hadn't played it in 2 years.
Yeah, I recall 4 years we went there, Keith, 83, 87. We saw one victory and maybe one tie. It's not even a joke. In 4 years of high school football. Yeah, it's pretty abysmal. But we did win basketball and wrestling and
that's true. Yes, we did.
Stuff like that.
Gymnastics and tennis.
Yes, that's right. We had good teams there.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
the band was outstanding. But how was your Christmas, brother?
Yes, very nice, relaxing. Quality time with Peyton, Joey, Allie, mom. Allie's daughter got sick for a day, poor thing, so we weren't able to celebrate our Christmas just yet, so we'll postpone that here. But overall, very nice, very relaxing. Thank you. And it's nice to see friends for birthdays and all that stuff. So Skinner and I got together last week for that. So that was good.
Yeah, happy birthday to both of my brothers here, Skinner and Fisher. I missed to get together. Been a couple of tough weeks for me as far as getting out. Had to spend a lot of time, I should say, at court, getting some legal stuff taken care of in regards to my mom's estate. But at least those emotions are turning. Now, we wish Allie's mom as well, too, by the way. And the weather kind of killed my Christmas. My son and his fiance were going to come down, and it was just too dangerous of a drive and to drive back late at night. So we're going to have ours next weekend. So I know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
My man, Skinbo, how you doing, brother?
Doing very well. Glad to be here tonight.
Glad to see you, man.
We're on Monday, December 26th for those. Holidays, they're not the same without my mom here.
I know you're feeling.
I was happy when I woke up Sunday morning yesterday with my better half next to me.
That's great.
Christmas Day last year, I was here in an empty house. if you all recall, the COVID
Mhm.
had destroyed my house.
Yes.
Marcy and her mom both were in the hospital. We didn't have our Christmas until January 31st of 22 for our December.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You had to wait a
waking
while.
up this yesterday morning, smile on my face, couldn't have been, but no matter how much stress it is with all the grandkids, it was a great day. So
That's
their
good.
smile on their faces when they came down to turn the corner at the steps and just saw the living room completely full of gifts. They were really spoiled this year. So
Okay,
glad to be
that's
here.
great. Yeah, me too. It's been real surreal with me. As I said, Christmas Eve, we're supposed to have our big family dinner in Canton at my nephew's, and that got canceled because of the weather. And so I threw an audible. I told my son and his fiance, hey, we're going to have dinner at my house. Weather didn't allow that as well. But I did have a nice time with Pam. We had a great dinner. Pam is my sister, for those of you who don't know, as these two know and love. For what reason, I do not know. But we'll leave that one alone. And we had a special evening. Christmas. Yeah, my Donovan was over yesterday to get his gifts from me, so I had a good time with him. Christmas is just not Christmas without a kid. You just need one. At least a kid's involved, and that makes it special. So he's so aggressive. I got him boxing gloves with the helmet gear, and he's got a punching bag and all that. We're going to work him out a little bit, work out some of that aggression. All right. So anyway, guys, excited about our show tonight, but we got to talk about the show that we just had last time we were together. We finally did it. What they said couldn't be done. Actually, what they said they didn't want us to do. The government warned us, FCC warned us, but it happened. Convincing Idiots, our sister show, hooked up with It Came From Gen X. As you know, Brian Fisher is a member of both. And I tell you what, I had a blast. It was just like controlled chaos, but it was so much fun. It was just great having you guys, Fish. You want to talk anything about the show?
Yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and Dean and Nick said the same thing, that it was great getting together, and actually had a little bit of feedback from different people, so we should do it more often.
So did I. Yeah, I agree.
So we should definitely do so. But yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what I got from the show, Skinner, and I'm sure you can probably attest to this. I'm talking to you because Fish is a part of both. It took me a minute to kind of acclimate and understand how they do their show, which is totally different from how we do our show. And so I thought, man, you know what? It would be cool to have them on our show and go by our format, and go back and forth like that. I thought that would be kind of interesting,
I think
do a couple of news stories. But
I think we should do that. It was for those that didn't know, I personally had not met Dean and Nick until this past week.
That's right.
So on air, you listen to that show, you would have thought that we've all been friends for many, many years.
Absolutely.
And for the first time that we've ever worked together, and I was quite impressed on how we gelled. That was the best thing, that I came out of that. The show gelled.
I've met him before, and I was kind of hoping I would never have to see him again. But we had to do the show, so it is what it is. All right.
But I think next time we definitely do it in our format next time.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds great. All right. Hey, big shout out, big love to our man. Merry Christmas to the boss, Mike Skinner Jr., Mr. Merry Mike Skinner Jr. Enjoying married life, proud of him right now and all that he's doing. And much love to Des the Reason. And he is the reason for some of you viewing us here on the Boss Code Network. And with that being said, Fisher's going to tell us where you can find us.
All right. Yeah, you might be listening to us on demand. We can be found on all major podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Overcast. Because wherever you listen to podcasts, find the It Came From Gen X podcast. Give us a follow or subscribe for free. And as we post new episodes, they'll pop in your feed for you to listen at your convenience on the go or whatever the heck you're doing. You might be watching us, as Keith just mentioned, on the Boss Code Media TV network. You can find that app on your smart TV or your portable device. Just find the Boss Code Media app, download, subscribe, and we're on there on our very own channel, the It Came From Gen X channel, where you can find segments of the show and also plenty of other original content, cooking, movies, music videos, comedy, all kinds of different things that Des has coordinated on his network. And you also might be watching us on our YouTube channel at ItCameFromGenX. We have full episodes and segments there as well. Give us a free subscribe there. All show information can be found in two main places. Our Linktree page, simply Google Linktree. It came from GenX. It's simply a page with links to our social media where you can listen to us, etc. And our website, itcamefromgenx.wordpress.com. All show information is there on the website. Also links to where you could sponsor the show if you are so inclined. Help us get more jerseys or something like that. If you do one thing, or two things, I guess, follow, share, subscribe, and then tell a friend. That's how we grow out there. And we appreciate your support. And I would be remiss if I did not give another shout out, by the way. My daughter, my beautiful daughter, Peyton, and her boyfriend, Joey, today, this is December the 26th, just got the keys to their new condo. They're moving in together. So their relationship taking that next step. So very happy for them. Sent pictures today. They're all smiles, getting the place ready. So they're going to start moving in January. So could not be happier for the two of those kids taking the next step in their lives.
They grow up so fast.
I know.
All right, thank you, Fish. Appreciate it. And yeah, he said, you can watch our show on demand. In fact, I've heard several people demand that we shut the heck up. So whatever you want to say, you can say it on demand. All right.
That's right.
All right, listen, I am happy to say these words. I feel like I haven't said them forever. World news. Skinner, take it away.
All right, before we head out to Tacoma, Washington for my first story, Skinners and the Farsons have a ton of birthdays in December, and I need to shout out a few of them.
Oh, let's hear them.
This week alone, my daughter Brianna, my oldest daughter, will be celebrating her birthday tomorrow, 27th.
Happy birthday, Bree.
Birthday.
The day after that, my pride and joy, my first granddaughter, Jayla, will turn 1 year old on the 28th.
That's the princess.
Papa's princess turns 1 year old. It's hard to believe she's going to be a year old this week.
Well, and then she's my princess in waiting. You know who my princess is. Go ahead.
Right. And then on the 31st, my oldest grandsons, Aiden and Donovan, turn the big 1-0. They're going to be double digits this year.
That's awesome.
Happy birthday to my daughter and to the grandkids. Love them dearly.
That's awesome.
All right.
And of course, Aiden and Donovan, of course, are those. They hold high positions in the Keith Porter Uncle Tax Club.
That's right.
Yes, they do. And tell them they need to get their Uncle Tax together. I will be collecting very, very soon. So
it is tax season coming up.
Yes, it is.
Try to tell them. So, all right, fellas, like I said, we're going to go out to Tacoma, Washington. I think the boss man, Mike, will get a kick out of this because I'm not real happy with the story. But we're going to Tacoma, Washington, where yesterday was December 25th, Christmas. There were 4 electrical substations vandalized. 2 of them actually caught on fire on Christmas Day. 14,000 homes and businesses were without power for anywhere from 5 hours to half the day.
That's scary.
The first one was vandalized at 2:39 in the morning. December 3rd, down in Moore County, North Carolina, vandals shot up a facility and left 45,000 people without power for more than 3 days, and that was at the beginning of the month. What the hell are these people doing? We vandalized things. We would throw TP or toilet paper on people's houses, or we would, saran wrap their cars with their doors if we didn't particularly care for the people so much. But these people have gone way over the board and shot up and destroyed substations. First of all, you're risking your life being in these places.
Mhm.
Secondly, what did these 14,000 people that were without power do to you that they were without power on Christmas Day? I don't understand this story. I don't understand. But reading the story, there's no motive. They have no idea who's done this to this point. And they're not sure if they're ever going to find out because the place, December 3rd, down in North Carolina, those people are still at large. They have no idea who did it.
Wow.
Have you guys heard anything like this?
Not like this. These are one of those stories that just make you shake your head. I don't know if it's more stupidity or if it's more evil. Like you made a good point when you said the things we did to be vandals were things out of a fun nature. You know, we did a lot of TPing back then. If you don't know what TPing is, as Skinner alluded to, you would go to somebody's house late at night and with just rolls and rolls and rolls of toilet paper, throw them through the trees, you know, and at the very worst, they had to wait till it rained, you know, for it to come down. But it was innocent fun, you know, aggravating, but innocent fun. Nobody got hurt. Stuff like this right here, man, I don't understand what would cause somebody to do that to so many homes. Could you imagine if that happened here over the last 2 days that we had? That was the one thing that scared me.
Sure.
You know, if lines came down, it was freezing, you know. I was upset because I got a house full of coats sitting here and I wanted to go out and find people and pass them out.
Right.
Because the most go ahead, buddy.
Real quick for those that are listening, on December 30th, 31st, and December 23rd, 24th, and 25th, the average high was 5 degrees. The wind chill factors went as low as minus 27. So
absolutely,
that's what was referred to over the last couple of days. What would have happened if the power went out here?
And I was just thinking about how cold it was, and I wanted to go and pass out all these coats that we've been accumulating, and nobody wanted to go out. And, you know, I heard the most obscure announcement on the radio the other day. Not obscure, absurd. They said a shelter, and I'm not going to name the one because I can't remember it, a certain shelter would be opening up to bring in people off the streets to get out of the cold, but it shuts down at 8 o'clock. Why would you open something like that and shut it down? Where are they going to go at 8 o'clock at night? So
back out in the cold.
Out in the cold. That has nothing to do with what you're talking about, but I don't understand why anybody would want to cause that kind of hurtful damage to another human being, let alone thousands of human beings. And I think there are a couple of things that need to have the strictest penalties that you can apply. That is vandals like that and hackers. People hack into military bases, people that hack into nursing homes and things of that nature. They need the strictest penalties for these kind of crimes. And also, why don't places like this have better secure measures? We're living in a terroristic time right now, you know, where all this stuff is going on in the world. Little cells are popping up here and there wanting to do this in the United States. Why isn't a place like that better protected? That's my biggest question, Fish.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was thinking the same thing. It's I saw a story earlier this year on the grid in the United States. It's not regulated and controlled by one entity, so it's across the country. And the main part of the story was how susceptible we are to terrorism. Exactly what you just stated. You know, you could knock if a few concentrated hits on some key power stations across the country. I mean, a lot of people would be crippled for a very long time. So I'm with you. It's like, you should have the strictest security, and I'm also with you in if you're caught vandalizing, you throw them right in jail. I mean, there should be very strict penalty there to deter exactly to deter that type of behavior. Yeah, in this area, just to get you compare, Allie's power went out on Friday and did not come back on until 3 in the afternoon. At that point, she said her place was down in the lower 50s. Now, they were getting ready to leave, and then the power came back on. But just a few short hours, it got that cold in the house that quickly. So if you're knocked out for several hours in that type of cold, it could be, like you say, very dangerous. So
That's absurd, man.
yeah,
Well, it's
Absurd.
funny
crazy.
you bring up the power grids across the country. If you guys remember, it was what, 2001, 2002,
Yeah,
when
I
we had
remember
that blackout for 3 or 4 days.
In
The
the summer,
entire
yeah. I'll never forget that.
northeastern part of the country, and including the Canada side, was without power for almost a week. I remember that. It was crazy.
Mhm.
So, and okay, well, I appreciate you guys' points on that, and I think we all come to the same conclusions that, Keith has said in the past when I bring up his story, he goes, just when I thought people couldn't be any more stupid or evil,
Yeah.
I
They never let me down.
They never
Yeah.
let you down, and I always find a story that will prove him wrong. So,
Mhm.
not intended to prove you wrong, brother, but these people are bound and determined. I'm telling you.
I know
So
it.
we're gonna go to Taiwan real quick because there is something brewing over there with China. Now, Taiwan is an island off the Asian coast. They are a self-governed body of land. It's just a little island, if you know. And China, years ago, classified that as their territory, but it was never legally taken. There was an $850 billion defense bill that passed over the last 30 days.
Yes.
And $10 billion is going to the Taiwan government for their military. And China is not very happy about this, that the United States is dipping their nose into their business, as they say, even though Taiwan is not any part of China. So China has sent 71 aircraft and 7 warships to the area. They claim they're only doing exercises, and they claim that they do this all the time, but they sent all of this manpower and machines over a period of 24 hours shortly after the news came that this was passed. So I wanted to let our viewers know that don't be surprised if you hear more about this in the coming weeks. I don't want to say that you heard it here first, but certainly this is brand new as of today. So look out. That China, had a bad rap with the COVID for a good reason. That's where COVID came from. That's where it initiated from, and now they're starting to do this. So don't be surprised if something comes about this. And real quick, I wanted to reiterate: we talked about the Ukraine people, not only with the combined show, but we've talked about them before. I hope and pray that they had a great Christmas holiday as best they could, and that they are staying warm and safe. And hopefully this conflict will be over here very soon. I read something today where they're hoping that this will be finished by the end of February. I cannot believe that they're using the end of February as their time frame with all that's been going on, but certainly keep them in your prayers as they are still continuing to deal with all the idiocy and I'm going to call it what it is, war crimes of the Russians. So
yeah.
Guy,
Wow.
What do you got?
Well, first, this whole Taiwan thing is kind of scary. That's
something so small can go.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
So big.
It really can. And the United States can just really tick me off sometimes. We just passed $1 trillion spending bill a couple days ago in order to avoid another government shutdown, which is going to be looming again in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sending $10 billion over to Taiwan. It's an old argument. I don't want to sound like a record, but we got so much going on over here. We don't have any money. But it's just amazing where money comes from when we want to stick our nose in somewhere. I'm all for helping oppressed people and all that type of thing, but it just really, really burns my shorts when our veterans are not done right. Our children, our schools are not done right. Our elderly are not done right. It's just terrible. We got homeless people. We don't have enough programs. We got programs in our schools getting cut left and right. We got government funded programs like homeless programs like that are getting cut left and right. but we have $10 billion to send to Taiwan and provoke a crazy country like China right now. And I'm not trying to be mean or racist or anything like that, but hey, if the shoe fits, you know what I'm saying? So that really irks me. We need to watch that subject very, 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 very closely, and definitely pray, man, that this kind of blows over. As far as Ukraine people are concerned, I don't have a whole lot of love for some of the things that are going on in Ukraine. They're not the innocent people that the media portrays them to be, but I certainly am against war and these war crimes that have been committed upon them by Russia. And I pray that this war ends every day. And I think of all those refugees and people out in the cold, running for their life, and it just breaks my heart. So keep praying for this war to end in Ukraine. That's all I got to say on that, Fish.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to add. It's just very sad, and that there's still countries fighting to take over more land, and it's just really baffling. And these are countries too that have their own problems as well. I mean, Russia and China certainly they have their own problems of their own right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Why take on other territories? What good does it do? I just don't understand it, I guess.
I don't either.
My limited capacity and understanding all the politics and everything with all that stuff. And I'm with you too, Keith, as far as it seems like you could print money and go into this, whatever this debt is that the country had, the deficit the country has, to keep the government, quote unquote, running inefficiently or whatever the heck it is. But like you say, there's so many people in need in our own country. I share the same sentiments there. It's really mind-boggling. So, but
it really is.
Unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to change anytime soon. So I don't know.
Not in our lifetime.
All right. Thank you, Skinner. Two really intriguing stories. Stories to think about, stories to watch, and certainly subjects to keep praying on for those of you that believe in the power of prayer. All right, Let's get to some sports and some music. Okay, guys, in sports, certainly the football world right now, saddened by the loss of one of his great ambassadors. Regardless if you're a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Franco Harris has established himself as the class act of the NFL. He died 3 days ago, or was it 2 days ago? 3 days ago, at the age of, I believe, 72.
That's right.
Obviously, he was famous for not only the multiple Super Bowl wins in the 70s with the Steelers, but of course, what's considered maybe the greatest play in the history of football, the Immaculate Reception, one of the greatest debates in the history of football, depending if you're a Raiders fan or a Steelers fan. And it's so crazy. They were going to honor him by retiring his jersey. This was planned 2 weeks ago. And they had some of the great 70s players attending, and who did attend, Mel Blanc, some others. And of course, he passed away the day before. Franco Harris was a tremendous runner. He didn't establish what the fans did, Franco's Italian army back in the 70s. But what happened after his career ended is why people love Franco. He was a humanitarian. He was a giver. Just the stories about him are so amazing, even up until just recently. Current Steelers running back Najee Harris told a fantastic story. Najee Harris is huge on charity and giving back to the community. He's been that way since his college days. And he said he learned a lot of that from Franco. But what blew me away, he said that he had a charity event for children that he was holding, and in walked Franco Harris. Didn't even invite him. Totally unexpected, totally unannounced, no fanfare. He walked in and participated, and he was the last one to leave. And that says a lot about the character of this man. So rest in peace, Franco. God bless his family. It was a stirring tribute at the game the other night. And we just really, really saddened to see this guy go. Any thoughts on Franco, Fish?
I didn't know as much about him as you did, certainly, but I did know his reputation of being a classy guy off the field, like you say. I know he held at least some Super Bowl rushing records with the sheer amount of times he'd been there. He was definitely an integral part of that dynasty.
He holds the most rushing yards in Super Bowl history.
Oh, well, there you go.
Four trips to do that for you, too.
Yeah, so rest in peace for sure.
Thank you. Now, Skinner, I know you hate my Steelers, but Franco, thoughts on Franco?
Well, the first thought is how does a hell of a guy like him come from the Pittsburgh Steelers? I expected nothing less, Skinner. Nothing less from you, buddy. Go ahead. You know, you can't say many good things about the Pittsburgh Steelers organization going all the way back to the 70s. But there is one shining light, and his name is Franco Harris.
You can't say anything good. You can't say nothing but good things about the Steeler organization going all the way back to the 70s. Don't make me give you a list.
Yeah, that list is very short. You know, what do they do?
Really?
Anyway, no, all kidding aside, Franco Harris is one of those individuals that even if you're not a football fan, you have to know who he is.
Yeah.
All his humanitarian efforts and everything that he has done over the years, prayers to his family, rest in peace. There'll be another one like him, I don't think, in a very long time, unfortunately.
And it was great to see on Facebook, people I know, pictures of them popping up with Franco. They say he never turned down an autograph, never turned down a picture, just that kind of a guy. And, we're celebrating the 50-year anniversary of the Accurate Section. There was the Steelers versus the Raiders. And, of course, the Steelers played the Raiders Saturday night. And it did not disappoint, a typical Steelers-Raiders game. And in the same fashion, it went down to the last minute. An amazing drive. The Steeler offense really woke up. Kenny Pickett threw a touchdown to a guy. I wish they would figure out, hey, every time you throw it to him, he catches. George Pickens out of Georgia. He is a stud. And he caught the winning touchdown for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are now, they're a different football team, man, and they're still in the hunt for the playoffs. I don't want them to make the playoffs, but they are still in the hunt at 7-8. They are one of the teams trending upward. Some of the teams trending down. Other teams trending upward. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Amazing to see those young players doing well. Yeah, amazing to see them. Carolina Panthers are coming along strong. It's great to see some of these young football teams starting to figure it out. Teams that are trending downward, the Miami Dolphins, losers of 3 in a row. Though the Packers beat the Dolphins yesterday, they were going downward. So it's interesting what's going to happen in the last month here of football. Some of the teams that are really blowing my mind, how about those San Francisco 49ers with maybe one of the best defenses I've seen in a long time, and the amazing play of Mr. Irrelevant, the last person taken in last year's draft, Brock Purdy. He beat Tom Brady. He's beaten some of the best, and he is undefeated as the third starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. It is amazing to watch. They are must-see TV. Your 49ers. Go ahead, Skinner. I know you're just chomping at the bit.
Oh, yeah. No, Mr. Purdy, man, he is something else. So, I like this guy. I can't believe he was the last person drafted. But he's 3-0, and that defense in San Francisco is probably one of the best in the league right now. So
I think they are the best in the league.
They're going to give the Eagles every ounce of fight that they're going to have, even with the rookie quarterback.
It will be must-see TV. I promise you that. Also, your Dallas Cowboys, Fish, big win over the Philadelphia Eagles. And don't take me wrong, Fish. It was a great win. But I said this today talking to somebody. The Cowboys won, but I think Philly won too. Because Philly put up 34 points on the Dallas defense with a second-string quarterback, and they blew that game. They almost won it. So that says a lot to me about Philly. But Dallas up there, one game, one or two games out of first place. They're doing great. And it's going to be exciting playoffs in the NFC, too. Your Cowboys, Fish.
Yeah, it was a very entertaining game.
Very.
Than I would have liked, for sure. Yeah, Dallas, I think it was they stopped Philadelphia, I think, only 4 times. All 4 times were turnovers by the defense, though. So Dallas did step up and made some big plays when they really had to. But they have a heck of a time if Hurts was in the game. So it looks like that may wind up being a playoff rematch. So
That's going to be great.
be entertaining if so. I still don't think that Dallas is in the same elite class yet as some of the other powerhouses in the NFL this year. But at least if their defense is playing well, if any defense is playing well, then you have yourself a chance.
You have a chance, right?
You know.
Now,
Yeah.
I gotta give Dallas credit too, and I'm sure maybe you guys have said this. It was like the last 2 years, man. Trade Zeke. Pollard is a stud, but they have found a way to use both of those guys in a most productive fashion. And I like what I'm seeing out of Zeke, and I love what I'm seeing out of Pollard. So good for them. I think that's their strength.
Well, Zeke is a different player this year. He looks totally different. Yeah.
He looks different. And I think maybe Pollard coming on kind of lit a fire up under his butt a little bit. So that's nice to see. My Pittsburgh Steelers are playing some outstanding football defensively. The Carolina Panthers ran for 235 yards 2 weeks ago against Seattle. Yesterday, they ran for over 300 yards. But in the middle of those weeks, they ran for 21 yards. The Steelers completely shut down their amazing running game, and they shut down the number one running back on Christmas Eve, playing for the Raiders. So their defense, man, is coming along really, really great. The emergence of man, I can't even think of his name right now. This middle linebacker, but he's doing an outstanding job.
You dropped for 1 second there, so you were talking about the emergence of the Pittsburgh defense, I think.
Yeah, Pittsburgh defense. They held Jacobs, the number one rusher in the league. I forget the yardage, but he didn't get anything on Christmas Eve. And, of course, they shut down the Panther running game. They held them to 21 yards. And they run for 500 yards in their game before Steeler game, their game after the game, total 500-something yards. So that's great defense. But anyway, the Browns, of course, blew their playoff chances with a loss on Christmas Eve. I just don't understand how they blew that game, but they did. But
that was all the coaching. That was the coaching and the play calling.
That's the question I have here. So even though Watson came in late, obviously, so is Stefanski and staff gone this year, or do they give him one more year with Watson the full year? What do you guys think about that?
Man, you got to stop and look at the decision making throughout the year and evaluate it from there. I haven't watched enough Cleveland games to make a honest opinion, but I think you have to don't look at the wins and losses because you did not have Watson, but look at the decision making throughout the year. Was it worthy of holding Stefanski? I'm leaning towards keeping him another year with your starting quarterback to see what you can do. But you know what? Jacoby Brissett is no slouch. He's serviceable. You should have done better than you did. There were a lot of games that just went, ugh. But I don't know. I'd at least give him another year with the quarterback that you brought in to be the head guy. See from there, unless you have an opportunity to snag a Sean Payton or something like that, then you definitely have to upgrade. You upgrade with players, and nothing wrong with upgrading with coaches. So that's my thoughts. Get her?
Oh, I totally agree with you, but I don't know if he's got another year. The play calling over the last 3 or 4 years have been absolutely atrocious, and it's not changed. It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That's our problem in Pittsburgh right now. Man, Canada's got to go, and we've got too many weapons on that team to be putting up 20, 21 points a game, man. So okay, we'll see. All right, guys, that's all for that I have for sports. Over in music.
You didn't even mention bowl season started today.
Oh, did it start today?
College football started today. The bowl season. Yep.
No, because there's only one bowl game that matters to me. But yeah, bowl season started. Somebody's playing in the Frosted Flakes Bowl. You know what? This is what
Tony the Tiger's playing her now, right?
Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding me? Gee whiz, man.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's got another name, but it's the Frosted Flakes Bowl. Okay, guys, just a couple of things this day in music that caught my attention. In 2017, Jim Burns, the co-creator of MTV's iconic MTV Unplugged series, passed away. This show, iconic is a great word for it because they did not have any idea of the success that this show would have. It was great seeing some of your favorite artists rearrange and reproduce their songs in an acoustic fashion. And some of the performances were just outstanding. And they were very diverse too. You had everything from Jay-Z to some metal bands and things like that. I'll never forget some of the performances I saw that blew me away. Number one it was my favorite band back then, Queensryche. I thought it was maybe the greatest rock unplugged performance I had ever saw. The Lady Wore Black. If you have not heard that on Unplugged, it is mind blowing. They were so brilliant sounding. The whistling and all that stuff. The acoustic play was incredible. Also, when Mariah Carey did some of her stuff and the Christmas stuff Unplugged, I thought that was outstanding too. Do you guys remember Unplugged? What was your favorite act Unplugged, Fish? And who would you like to see do an Unplugged if it came back?
Tell you what, one of my favorites was when Kiss came back on in the later 90s, so mid 90s.
Yes.
And they had this is when Ace and Peter got back with them to play in that Unplugged. First of all, very, very solid album. It's a very good acoustic set that Kiss did.
Yes.
With their members at the time, which had Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer, and then Gene and Paul, and then Ace and Peter came on, and then that was the catalyst of the huge Kiss reunion tour.
Yeah.
That they had back then with the makeup and the whole thing there. So
I don't know if you guys know this, but I worked the Kiss reunion tour.
That's right.
Yeah, it was one of the greatest thrills of my life, and I was on stage with them as they did an acoustic set, and it was utterly incredible. They told security, just take off, go. They're like, what? It's like, just go. They took all the barriers down, so everybody come right to the edge of the stage, sit on the ground so everybody can see. And you know what? It was so peaceful, not a problem. And they just said, what do you want to hear? And people were calling out songs. I thought I knew all the Kiss songs. They were calling out songs I never heard in my life. They talked for 20 seconds, and they would play it perfectly. It was brilliant to watch. That was a big thrill for me. So, yeah, that was a great set.
That's great.
Excuse me.
And then for who I'd like to see, I think maybe they've already done it. I don't know, but I think it'd be interesting to see like a Metallica do an acoustic set like that. I think that would be cool. And then maybe some of the classic bands too that are, like bring on like if they somehow could convince like the remaining the living members of Led Zeppelin to come back and do something like that, or that would be phenomenal. I think something like that. But anyway. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Skinner, any memorable Unplugged set you recall?
You were talking about Queensryche. I went back and looked. They did theirs in 1992.
Wow.
Now, just like you, I was a huge Queensryche fan growing up. As a young teenager and a young adult, my Aunt Sherry, who's in town for Christmas this past week, she's only 5 years older than me. She's my dad's youngest baby sister. When we were in high school and growing up, I went everywhere with her, and she took me to many, many shows. Queensryche was one of them. I was introduced by them, by Sherry and her at her time. It was her fiance, Rex, was his name. They introduced me to Queensryche, but in that same year, Pearl Jam came on.
Yeah.
In 93. I was out there where they're from, which is out in the West Coast in Washington State. But Pearl Jam did a performance that was pretty incredible as well. I remember that very vividly. Say what you will, some people, you either love them or hate them when it comes to the grunge from the Pacific Northwest, but Pearl Jam really put that type of genre of music on the map.
Absolutely.
Others
I
will
was a
say
huge Pearl Jam fan when it came out.
Yeah, others will say it was Nirvana. Others will say it was this, that, and another. But I think Pearl Jam was the one that really put the spotlight on that type of music.
Pearl Jam initiated it. Nirvana initiated it, but Pearl Jam took it to another level.
They did. And I'm with Fish as far as who I'd like to see unplugged. Yeah. I would love to see Metallica come and do it, even after all these years.
I think that would be interesting hearing James Hetfield singing, to slow acoustic stuff.
It would be. But I would also see with more recent music, because of what they've done, I'd like to see Disturbed do something unplugged.
I think Disturbed would knock it out the park without question.
With his voice and
we got a glimpse of that
talent.
when he redid the
Simon and Garfunkel.
The Simon and Garfunkel song.
Sound of Silence.
We can kind of get a little glimpse of what that would be like. For me, there would be two bands that I think I would love to hear unplugged. Number one would be Alter Bridge. Of course, this is the band with the members from Creed and the lead singer Miles Kennedy, who was with Slash, Miles Kennedy and Slash. I think they were just, they're one of the most phenomenal new bands. They're not new, but bands I've heard in a while. And I think they would be crack. Bullet for My Valentine would be another one. There's a band I've been listening to. I think they're just utterly amazing. I think they're the most underrated band out there right now. And one more, I would love to hear what Dream Theater would put together in an unplugged set. I think that would be mind-blowing as well. So
that's an interesting choice.
All right. Okay, so that's all I got for sports and music, guys. Let's get some pop culture, Fish.
All right. Dream Theater Unplugged, each song 45 minutes long.
Yes.
Yeah, no kidding.
They'd have to make some alterations, you know. So.
Yeah, right. This is the edited version.
Yeah.
35 minutes long.
It's Crazy Eddie's greatest Christmas sale ever, and Crazy Eddie's going Atari crazy with the absolute lowest prices anywhere on the Atari video computer system, the new Atari Super Game console, and all the latest and greatest Atari cartridges. Shop around, get the best prices you can find on Atari, then go to Crazy Eddie and he'll beat them. It's Crazy Eddie's greatest Christmas sale ever, and Crazy Eddie's going Atari crazy. Now's the time to get the Atari game and game cartridges you've always wanted. Crazy Eddie, his Christmas sale prices are insane.
Yeah. All right. So when we start out here, guys, so we got to this a little bit last week, I guess, on our combined show. But have you watched anything? So GenX recommendations. Have you watched anything or listened to anything interesting over the past week or two that you wish to recommend? Did that have to be new to something new to you? Go ahead, Keith. Anything come to mind?
I can't think of anything that comes to mind. I know there's something, and I can't think of what it is. So I might have to pass the dish to Skinner here for a minute.
Okay.
But I have been, like I said, exploring Bullet for My Valentine albums. I'm telling you, if you have not really listened to this band, go all the way back to 2010, I'm like, where have I been? Outstanding.
Peyton got turned on to them as a teenager, so I've heard my share of Bullet for My Valentine when she was riding in the car with me at the time. So, yeah, definitely harder rock. I was surprised she liked them, but, yeah, very good. Skinner, have you watched anything you wish to recommend or listened to anything you wish to recommend over the last couple of weeks?
Well, Bullet for My Valentine, they play a lot on the Sirius XM. They play a lot on the Turbo channel 41.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really know them when they first came around. I think I'm like Keith. I learned their music later on, and they are pretty damn good. This is an old movie, and I didn't realize until I went and saw it Wednesday night last week. It was date night for me and Miss Marcy. We went with our good friend Mark Ballou down to Tinseltown, and we went and saw.
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. I'm absolutely about to go blank on that. Everybody has seen that movie on their TV screen at home. It is a completely different feel when you go to the big screen and watch that movie. The sounds, the brilliance of the movie itself, the black and white. There's nothing better than seeing that movie.
I can appreciate what you're saying, Skinner. You guys all know my ex-wife, Mary Ann. For one night, date night we went and saw Casablanca downtown at the, what's our theater downtown Akron?
Civic.
The Civic Theater.
Yeah.
They held it as it came out originally. Back in the 40s, it was an original movie night. They promoted it as the first night it came out. It was just an amazing experience. It was like going back in time, and that was totally different. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so if you get a chance next year to go see that movie, yes, we've all seen it, except for Miss Marcy, who had never seen it until last week.
Oh, wow.
those of us that have seen it millions of times on TV,
Love it. Yes.
it's a completely different feel, and I will go back every year and watch it on the big screen going forward.
Yeah. Let's go next year. Anything else, Skinner?
It's good.
No, nothing new. Kind of been saying that for a couple of weeks. Things have been so crazy around here. I think I may have mentioned in a different show. We're still watching the show called Mentalist.
Mm-hmm.
It was a CBS show back 20 years ago. It's out on HBO Max right now. If you like the crime is committed, they do the investigating, they find out who it is, but it's in a very unconventional way. A lot of humor in this show as well. So for a cop show type deal, there's a lot of humor. So it's very enjoyable. It's an easy watch. I think there's 5 or 6 seasons. We're in end of season 1, still watching it, but it's like watching it for the first time.
That's cool. I never watched that. I want to check that out sometime. But back what you said about It's a Wonderful Life, it's something that I love, and of course I got a different perspective of it. I got to perform it the last 5 years with the radio troupe, which has been interesting. But you went back in time and watched some old shows. I got 2 that I've been watching that I have really enjoyed. First of all, I watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation the other night, which was just awesome. I hadn't seen that in so long. I totally forgot all about it. Some of the greatest lines in that movie by Chevy, and of course Uncle Eddie, it was my guy. And one of the shows I've been watching, if you guys remember the old comedy Just Shoot Me?
Yes.
Yep.
With David Spade, man, boy, he has some of the funniest lines in that movie. I've been watching that show for days now too. So
yeah, that's a show you don't have to have much sense to watch.
No, none at all. None at all. The less, the better.
Yeah, I watched that back in the day when it was on. I was a very avid fan of that show back in its time. All right, I watched a couple new things. Go ahead, Keith. Anything else?
Yes, I think I mentioned this before. I cannot believe it took me this long to watch this show. When it was out, I got so tired of hearing about how great it was, and I never watched it. Just like anything that would interest me, and now I can't stop watching it. 24, as advertised, man, excellent.
Yeah, it was a good show, great show.
Yes.
Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah, the guy that played the president, I can't think of his name. He's in the
I can't think of his name either, but he's
Allstate
great.
commercials or whatever. Yeah,
with that voice. Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, very, very good stuff. All right, so last weekend, well, actually, no, it was my birthday eve. I thought I would treat myself a little bit. I was home, relaxing, and it was on premium rental. So $20 to rent right now. Of course, it'll come down, and it's still in the theater. Violent Night. So Violent Night stars David Harbour as Santa Claus. So David Harbour, you would know from Stranger Things as the sheriff. He was also the Crimson something in the Black Widow movie. He's going to reprise that role in the Thunderbolts movie. John Leguizamo. I always say his name wrong. Thank you, Leguizamo. I always say his name wrong. He was the main villain. Terrific. You mentioned Christmas Vacation. Keith. Beverly D'Angelo is in this movie.
I love her.
And a few other people as well. But the premise is Beverly D'Angelo is a very rich, the head of a very rich family.
Mm-hmm.
Terrorists come into the house just at the same time that Santa Claus happens to be in the house, David Harbour. So Santa Claus is real in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
And
it should be in this universe.
This movie, of course, it is. In all universes, Santa is real, of course.
Watch it, all right.
This particular portrayal of Santa, though, he's kind of a badass. He was like a former warrior, so you get some glimpses of Santa. So he was a mortal that became Santa Claus. He doesn't really know how it works, which was great. He doesn't really understand how it works. It's magic. He controls it. He's part of it. He understands his role in this. He doesn't quite understand how it all works, and it's perfectly fine. That's great. So you have a kick-ass Santa who tries to save this family from these terrorists. Terrific. Santa Claus is a big
that sounds great. I would love to see that. The story sounds great, and Beverly D'Angelo sounds great. And by the way, that's Dennis Haysbert, who plays Senator Palmer, who becomes eventually President Palmer at 24. Great actor.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to watch that.
Yeah, check out Violent Night for sure. Dean saw it first, recommended it, and yeah, I agree with him. It'll be part of my probably annual viewing. I'll definitely buy a copy of this and enjoy it every year, probably going forward. I watched on Netflix Glass Onion. Glass Onion is the
I
sequel to
saw
Knives
that.
Out. The
Of
only
what?
returning character, Knives Out, which is like a murder mystery,
Yeah, yes.
and the original was very good. So the only character that returns is Daniel Craig, who played James Bond. You might remember. He plays the Southern detective, so it's interesting to see Daniel Craig playing the Southern gentleman detective. But he's terrific in this role. It's a whole different other cast except him, Ed Norton.
Dave Bautista's in it, right?
Dave Bautista's in this.
Yeah.
That's right. A lot of big name celebrities. They go on this island, and he has to solve a murder. So it's free on Netflix. Go check it out. It's a big budget movie. Definitely worth a watch. And I'd never seen it before until today. I rented. I'm kind of working through. Ever since we did the episode of movies you should have watched by now. We did that a couple episodes ago.
Right.
That's when I saw Casablanca and a few things. So,
Yeah, you've been doing good.
yeah,
I
I
gotta
watched
catch up with you.
Vertigo today for the first time. This is
Oh
Alfred
wow,
Hitchcock.
I haven't seen Vertigo. Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart is in this. So Jimmy Stewart was in a few Hitchcock movies as he got a little bit older. It was after It's Wonderful Life. He was great in this. It was ranked as one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah, it is.
Just so good. Just so beautifully
Wow, I gotta
shot.
watch this now.
You are in the you run it for like $3 or so on Amazon Prime, but it's like of 1958, and you are just immersed in the 50s. Just again, it's in San Francisco. So like I said, just the shooting, and it's Jimmy Stewart, so it's terrifically
Let me ask you a
acted.
question, Fish.
Yeah, go ahead.
For Glass Onion,
Mm-hmm.
do you need to see the first one in order to understand the second? Okay, that's what I need to
Nope.
know.
All you know is Daniel Craig is a famous detective, and he's sort of got his name. You do not need to see the first one whatsoever. So it's recommended.
Pieces of it on Netflix.
Yep.
And I don't know if this is the same with you guys. I have such trouble with a person like Daniel Craig, who for so long made a role iconic like James Bond, playing something else. It's like seeing Christian Bale do something else. It just weirds me out, without him being Bruce Wayne or Batman. So I'm going to check it out. Thank you.
It is great. He's not a kick-ass guy. It's all the brains, just brains, and it's Southern drawl, and you forget that he was James Bond, and that's a tribute to his acting.
That's good acting. I was about to say that's good acting. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely worth a watch. Okay. So speaking of movies and blockbusters and all that, so the sequel to Avatar is out right now. Avatar: The Way of the Water. It is really doing well. Now I've not seen this in a theater, but. It's killing it in the box office right now. So it has made $253.7 million domestically in its first 10 days of release, compared to $212.7 in the 2009 Avatar. So it's obviously you got inflation changes, blah blah blah, but it's definitely pacing ahead of the original. Now it has to make a killing because this was very expensive to make, but it is certainly doing very well. This is James Cameron's first $100 million opener. And it's even despite the weather. So the weather was bad weather, as we talked about earlier, and still people came out in bad weather across the country to see this thing. So as the weather clears up, certainly it'll pave the way for more people to go out to the theater. And I'm interested to see this in the theater. Again, we talked about this before. I thought the first movie the storyline was so-so, but it was just the 3D effects, and you're immersing yourself in that world, which would made it extra entertaining. So I'm definitely interested to go see this in the theater, but it's definitely doing well. And if it does well, I mean, it's got a couple sequels that they'll make even from here. So I don't know. Are you guys planning to go see Avatar? Way of the Water, or do you not really care so much? Keith, what do you think about the Avatar sequel?
I can't wait to go see this movie. I can't believe it took so long for the sequel to come out after all these years.
Yeah.
I don't know, Fish. I don't understand why you say that. I thought the storyline was amazing in the first movie. I thought that the dichotomy of of this guy going from world to world and not knowing where he wanted to be, and being caught because there was a carrot dangling in front of him in both worlds. In the world of being in the Avatar, he had love, and then in the world of reality or human world, I should say, he was going to get his legs back. And just to see him being torn between that, and he would come out and he want to go back in and had to force feed him because his natural body was dying and decaying because he was out in the Avatar body. I thought it was an extraordinary storyline personally. But I'm definitely going to go see this as soon as possible. That's something I'll be treating myself to here within the next coming days. As a matter of fact, I might even go see it tomorrow because I have a day off, and weather will be better than it was today, so I might go see it tomorrow.
All right, Skinner, what do you think about the Avatar sequel? You interested?
Oh, definitely. Like you said, it took me until 3 weeks ago to see the first one from start to finish. So, Miss Marcy wants to take her girls to go see it. That was something they did back when it first came out. So I don't know if I'm going to have to go to the theater by myself and watch it, or if I'm going to be included in that mommy-daughter
you can go with me, brother. I'll come grab you.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. But,
Yeah.
it has to be next week, unfortunately. Family in town and all that, but
that's
definitely going to see it here in the next week or two.
All right. Yeah, if we go see it, we'll definitely talk about it on the future episode, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so a buzz term out there on social media right now, Nepo babies. So it's making a lot of social media right now. So what is a Nepo baby? I think I'm saying it correctly. It's short for...
You are nepotism.
Yes, thank you. It's short for nepotism baby. So it's a child of an actor, musician, producer, or other industry insider who has likely benefited from their parents' fame or connections while launching their own career. So there's a list of Nepo babies out there. Certainly a lot of people do not care for the term, that are referred to as Nepo, which makes sense, because a lot of folks are just trying to find their way and make a name for his or herself, and oftentimes their names aren't connected to their parents' names on purpose because they want to not be known as their parents' kids. They want to be known as their own, for their own accomplishments and so on and so forth. So, there's a long list of, who they may consider a Nepo baby. So I'm interested, guys, if you have anybody in mind, a couple, three, whatever you want to name here, of some of your personal favorites or some of that you believe are more well-known, or just whatever you want to say about a few who may be considered a Nepo baby. And then if you have any other thoughts about the term or, being referred to as such in general. So, Skinner, why don't we start with you? Do you have any in mind that may be considered a Nepo baby that you wish to recognize, or anything else you would say about the term or anything at all, sir?
Well, the term, after hearing and hearing what you're saying and what I've read, is very disparaging to the younger generation that just wants to be themselves. There are others that live on their parents' coattails, and that's understandable. But there are those that they're their own person, or they got their own career. They did all the work that they needed to do to get the successes that they had. I got a couple names that come to mind. First one come to mind. Her name's Kate Hudson.
Yep.
Goldie Hawn's daughter. Woman's been in a lot of rom-coms. She's been in a lot of movies.
Also Glass Onion, by the way. She was in Glass Onion.
She's in Glass Onion as well. I've enjoyed all. Excuse me. My goodness. But I've enjoyed her work. Oh boy. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. Go ahead and take a break and get you some water.
Yeah.
Skinner is
Well,
not known as a Nepo baby, by the way.
no,
No, I
he's
am
not
not.
a baby.
Dave,
Oh my goodness!
Dave made a name for himself in the bowling industry and other things, and just Skinner
Right.
has not benefited from that in his own right.
No, I didn't. But
Yeah.
Neither have I. My mom and dad were great singers, and I don't know what happened to me.
right. Oh my goodness! So I was looking for trying to think hard when you talked about this, a sports reference, and the only one that came to mind at the very beginning was Ken Griffey Jr. Had a hell of a baseball career. His dad was with the Cincinnati Reds, and even Ken Griffey Jr. played with his dad in Cincinnati at the beginning
Sure
of his
did.
career.
Yeah.
And then there was
Great example right there. You've got the name.
yeah, you've got the name Ken Griffey Jr. Yeah, it's Junior, Senior, and then come to find out that my favorite Marvel movie still to this day is Iron Man, the first one. Well, they were both these actress was in all three, which is Gwyneth Paltrow
Yes.
and Robert Downey Jr. The two of them both are Nepo babies, and
It was Gwyneth Paltrow's parents.
Fish, do you have that up?
Yeah, I'll tell you here. 1 second there.
Because you were the one that brought it up when we talked
You
about
said
it
it.
before.
You don't know who her parent is?
I can't remember who it was now. I can look. I think I may have it here as well.
I
Nope.
bet I got it. I bet I got it quicker.
She was the daughter of actor Blythe Danner and the late producer and director Bruce Paltrow.
Yeah.
Blythe Danner. That's right. That's who it was.
No, who? Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Blythe
right.
Danner was an actress, probably back in the 80s, I think. Was her primary work, if I recall.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But, so yeah, those are the ones that come to mind when we're talking about this. So interesting that it's come up during the Christmas holiday that this has gone viral for some reason. I don't know if that's coincidence or not.
I don't know. Keith, what do you think about all this? Do you have any names, or what do you think about the term in general? Is it unfair, or what do you think?
I mean, I think it's fair. It's media stuff. I don't know why anybody would care. The work that you put in and whatever your field is, as far as acting or whatever, people know if you've gotten there because of your work versus a name. So nobody cares what the media says. That's how I feel anyway. So I think it's fair. If I was an actor or actress and that term was applied to me, I would care less, if I knew what I had done and I knew that my peers knew. But there are certainly three names that I think definitely benefited from their parents' work. The first one is George Clooney, because he came out of nowhere. And Rosemary Clooney came to prominence with White Christmas, with Bing Crosby. And she was a huge name in Hollywood back then. So I think he's one that comes to mind. And the second one is definitely, she was the biggest actress in the world at one time, but Angelina Jolie, being the daughter of the great John Voight. I certainly think that helped propel her career. But the number one person on my list, and she is my number one person, she's not hardly doing anything now. Matter of fact, she's almost a B actress right now. But at one time, she was in everything. And even though she's not doing anything now, she doesn't have to, because she's got money to burn because of the greatness of her father in Hollywood. But that's Tori Spelling, the daughter of the late, great Aaron Spelling, who produced some of the greatest shows of all time. And she was a horrible actress in my opinion. So I think that she definitely benefited from her father's success. As a matter of fact, she appeared in a lot of Aaron Spelling productions because nobody else would hire her. So she's top of my list.
Yeah, there's a lot of names out there. I agree. That's a great one, Keith. Just a few that kind of come to mind. Again, I don't know that, like you said, at the end of the day, you have to make a name for yourself if you're going to continue to get roles and get opportunities, whether it be athletics or acting or otherwise. Here, you're not just, your name's only going to take you, or your lineage rather is only going to take you so far. When we talked about off camera, Skinner was Stephen Curry. So his dad was a an all-star, and then he's one of the greatest players to go ahead.
No, okay. Now, I was about to say that. That's interesting dynamic right here because we're talking about Hollywood, TV, things of that nature,
Yep.
but it's a different dynamic in sports.
It really is. Yeah.
Because I don't care who your father is, you got to earn it out there on the field or the court.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
look
right.
at Michael Jordan's boys.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they now? They couldn't cut the mustard. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care what your name is. And one of them's name was Michael Jordan Jr. So it doesn't matter what your name is. If you can't perform, you can't perform. And I don't think your parents' name will help you at all. Curry's a good one, but also look at some of the guys in football. Look at all my Steelers. Craig Hayward, son of Ironhead Hayward. Now his little baby brother's on the Steelers team and have been contributing greatly this year. They've had to earn that name, all by themselves. So
Right.
Sports is different. And another place I think where a dynamic is different too is the wrestling world. Professional wrestling is weird. Sometimes carrying on that name, you're carrying on a legacy. They expect it. You got one of my favorites, Charlotte Flair, the daughter of the greatest wrestler of all time, in my opinion, Ric Flair. She has the name Flair, but she has earned every bit of her success. She is a phenomenal athlete. But then there's others, like The Rock's daughter. She's made her debut, but she's changed her name. She doesn't want any help from her father. She's now into wrestling. So that's kind of a different dynamic. But sports, you got to earn that, man.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. Like I said, you may get a little bit of extra attention for a minute as far as the name, but you're right. If you're, no one's going to put you on a professional team just because you have the same last name of another person. You're exactly right.
You might get some perks growing up.
Right.
What was the guy who played for the Colts, retired? Andrew Luck.
Sure.
Now his father, because he grew up in NFL locker rooms, so he knew everybody. Everybody knew him. He had all the perks. He was like royalty when he came into the NFL, and I'm sure that helped him a little bit. But he was really good too. But injury derailed his career.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of names out there as far as going back to acting and music. I don't know. It's some of my favorites though that I think are that do pretty well on their own. One of my favorite holiday movies to watch is Trading Places. I love Jamie Lee Curtis in that movie. Oh my
gosh, yes.
Yeah, so many good roles that she was in. And she's a daughter of Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh. Janet Leigh was the made a name for herself in the original Psycho. You may know. Again, just she's a talent in her own right.
She surely is.
There's so many. Jane Fonda, sort of the daughter of Henry Fonda. More recently, Zoe Kravitz has been getting more roles.
Oh, yeah.
Loved her in Catwoman in the Batman movie. Yeah, so just so many out there. So
those are great names. I don't know if you saw, Fish. There was a great article just came out. They named the greatest scream queen of all time, Janet Leigh, for her role in Psycho, and then they named the greatest modern age scream queen was her daughter, Jamie Lee Curtis, for her Halloween roles. Yeah.
Very good. Awesome. All right, so
there's a topic. There's a topic for sometime. Jamie Lee Curtis roles, your top 5 roles of her.
Sure.
Could have a nice little segment with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so I think we all kind of agree with Nepo babies. I mean, your name may get you extra exposure, but at the end of the day, your talent is going to make or break you in the type of roles you get in the long run. So
a name will get you there, talent to keep you there.
That's right, exactly.
Yep.
Just like Skinner Jr. Right. Yep.
Yes, he had the name of the great Michael Skinner. But his talent is what makes him the boss.
Yep. Known for king of the outros and podcasts. Yes. And then he's just making a name for himself, doing his own thing, which is beautiful.
We gave him the job because his last name was Skinner.
That's right.
Is that what it is?
Yes. He had a little clout, but he's kept the job because he's the man.
He's earned his right to stay on the job. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, he has.
I gotcha.
So social media, it continues to fascinate us in just what becomes popular in social media.
Mhm.
Of course, the term we just talked about with Nepo babies, that's a popular term on social media, so it gets a lot of buzz. One thing I caught today getting some buzz in TikTok. I mean, TikTok, as we know, is a plethora
It's
of
amazing what's
subjects
there.
out there,
Unbelievable.
from pranks to girls just kind of moving around to the same 3 or 4 songs and things, and all kinds of different stuff out there. Some very creative stuff out there.
Some just sick.
Some just ridiculous. Yeah. So I think this kind of goes along the ridiculous side here. Gaining some popularity on TikTok right now is self-dentistry tips. So dentist influencers. Okay. So these are people showing how to do some type of dentistry self-care, apparently, from like fixing gaps in your teeth and different stuff, how removing braces on your own. So some things that you would really ordinarily never even should remotely consider doing stuff to your own teeth, that people are watching videos and tutorials and all that and attempting to do on their own. Now, some of the things are very low risk that they talk about that are not permanent, like putting with some of the examples they cite in this article, it's on today.com, by the way, putting like a temporary like jewel in your teeth and making fangs with, temporary stuff, some whatever paste and stuff. But there's some stuff in here that's like, you really shouldn't be doing this at all, and it's very risky. And obviously, orthodontists and dentists are warning people, don't be freaking idiots and do some of this stuff here. So just fascinating, amazing. So would you, I know the answer, I don't even have to ask you if you would remotely consider doing this on their own. Just what are your thoughts of just the current trend of self-dentistry tips in the world of social media? Keith, what do you think about all this?
Well, you already know what I'm thinking. You morons. You already know what I'm thinking. But listen, okay, when it comes to things of the body, there's a reason people go to school for years to do these things, okay?
Yeah.
So let's not be stupid. Not to mention, if you screw up, you don't have the knowledge to recover and to fix it. So just to stop the stupid stuff. But I think that a bigger picture is the internet, and especially TikTok, has become a way of control for people. Because of the popularity that a video can get, I think people, especially somebody who is maybe not powerful or not very well known in social circles, see how they can control people through videos by getting people to do stupid stuff. And I really think it's a form of control. It's really crazy. If you get something dumb, but you can get out there and popular enough, people will try it. It's just absolutely dumb. I saw a video the other day. These morons have somebody's kind of hiding with a camera on a subway, and another guy sitting there is next to an old lady. There's all kind of people around, and he's got this big object covered in plastic, and then he uncovers it, and it's a little toilet. He pulls the toilet paper out, sets it on the side, pulls his pants down, and sits on the toilet. And everybody just starts running and scrambling. Just for what? Shock value? Just stupid stuff. But I think the internet is just, people are just trying to see, man, what can we get people to do? Mm-hmm. If it goes viral enough, morons will try it because they think it's the thing to do now. I just think it's utterly absurd, and people need to be careful.
Skinner, what do you think?
Young kids are getting dumber and dumber and dumber as well.
By the day, brother.
Gosh, are you kidding me? Dentistry. What do they look up? We had books. What is it? Computers for Dummies, or something for Dummies. That was our books. People
never saw Dentistry for Dummies.
But yeah, Dentistry for Dummies. Go on TikTok. You can figure out how to My gosh, I can't believe how dumb this subject is, and that the fact that we're talking about it just blows my mind even more. To be truthful,
should this, so obviously you can get stuff like this out there, and some of the other stuff that people can get hurt and do some type of permanent disfigurement to their bodies, but you're still able to put. So should a platform like a TikTok be more regulated? If you're putting something like this out there, if it's caught, should you, should they have the right to ban these type of videos that are, frankly, maybe harming people?
Interesting question, Fish. And I'm torn between that because now you're talking about a freedom of speech issue.
Censorship,
censorship, and I'm already got a problem with Facebook right now because they're getting ridiculous. I've been violated twice on Facebook. Put in Facebook jail for just the dumbest benign comments. My singer in my band, the Diamond Phillips Band, was recording me playing drums at a rehearsal, warming up, and I didn't know it. And then he posted it later, and I never knew he was recording. And I just, if we were in each other's face, it would have came out like this: "Well, I'm gonna kill you." That's what I said. I'm gonna strangle you. And LOL was behind it, but yeah, I got in trouble because of that. It's like, is this an algorithm searching for keywords like strangle? Because you should have a human being looking at this and saying, "Oh, in the context he said it, this is his friend, and he's playing with them." But no. So I already got a problem with this type of censorship. But you make a very, very good point because it's getting out of hand. I'm surprised we haven't seen reports of more serious injuries or deaths coming from some of the stupid stuff people are trying because they see it on TikTok.
I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see the regulations or not. I mean, some of it, though, is common sense.
Which is not common. That's oxymoron.
Not anymore.
I guess you're right. I don't know. Okay. I guess it remains to be seen if stuff like this becomes more regulated over time. I'm not sure. Okay. I'm just kind of looking at the time here a little bit here. Let's look at some pop culture history. December 26th, so today, back in 1967, so just about as old as we are, actually, the patent for the Frisbee was made. So the activity, it says here, began as early as 1871 when Yale students would toss empty pie tins from the nearby Frisbee Pie Company. That's where they got the name Frisbee. And it sort of, became popular, and then they finally patented the thing in 1967. So I just thought that was interesting. I remember as a kid, I used to love playing Frisbee all the time. It was an activity.
Yes, it was.
That I would get out there with my friends, and you just play in the middle of the street. I had a few kids around that would play. Taught my mom how to throw. As Peyton grew up, I taught her how to throw a Frisbee. It's just still an activity to this day that I enjoy. I just don't get to do enough of it because it just requires two people that want to do it, obviously. But,
I used to hate those people that can just throw those straight line. Oh, that's a beautiful throw. I love the beautiful throw on a Frisbee.
Yeah, so I don't know. So, Keith, you talked about this. So, Skinner, were you a Frisbee player growing up?
I just want to say one thing. It took me it's amazing it took so long for that to be invented. It is so natural that it should have been done a long time ago, you would think. So, that's my thought.
Yeah, it's funny that it was just in 67 because I played it when I was a kid. He used to throw Frisbee all the time, and I taught my kids how to play Frisbee over the years. So, I'm like you, Fish. I love throwing a Frisbee, but I have nobody around that actually likes to do it as well. So maybe we'll have to fix that this summer coming up. But
absolutely.
One of my greatest lines in Avengers: Age of Ultron. They talked about Captain America's shield, which was made of vibranium, which of course at that time was thought to be such the rarest mineral on Earth. The rarest metal on Earth. Very little bit of it to be found. We found out later they had a whole mountain of it. But at that time they thought it was mass quantities. Just that shield alone cost millions, if not billions, of dollars to make. And Ultron goes, "Yeah, the rarest metal on Earth." And what do? They make a frisbee. I thought that was a great line.
I remember, guys, in middle school at Ennis, when we were all at Ennis Junior High School, we had a frisball league. I think it was in our homeroom classes, to where it was a version of football but played with
that was fun.
frisbees.
Oh
I
remember that.
People were great at that.
Yeah, you couldn't. You had to throw the frisbee. You couldn't advance until your teammate caught it and things like that. So
people catch them under their legs and stuff. But you know what I like? I like the advancement of the frisbee, the disc that they used to make, the little holes, circles, and the games you could play throwing them on poles and stuff like that. That was fun. Yeah.
I've always thought about. I've never played it, but to take up, I want to try frisbee golf. There's courses around here. You can buy different frisbees,
now,
different
that I might be good at.
weights and sizes and stuff like that. I think that would be a lot of fun to go out and try actual frisbee.
We might be
golf.
good at that, Fisher.
Yeah, better than real golf, that's for sure. That wouldn't be wouldn't be very hard at all for you and I to step up from real golf. And
we might actually keep score, Fish, in that one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, so December 30th, 1963.
R90.
Yeah. Let's Make a Deal debuted, the game show in 1963. Monty Hall developed, produced, and starred in his own creation, Let's Make a Deal. So Monty Hall hosted that show for several years, and that was a show, of course, it's still in the air today. But I recall watching Let's Make a Deal, the original with Monty Hall in the 60s, and the reruns in the 70s. It was like a daytime game show. If you're a remote game show fan, you know exactly what this is. I don't really understand why people started to dress up in these weird costumes. That just kind of became a part of it. But it was the whole, as we know, it's you would either accept a deal or you would trade, you would accept the prize at hand and try to trade up and this and that and the other. You would get the quote unquote zonks. They would give people like mules and really weird prizes and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I always thought it was a great game show, a lot of fun. And Monty Hall, in my book, was one of the greatest game show hosts that ever lived. I thought he was terrific on that show. So were you a fan, Keith, of the original Let's Make a Deal? Do you still watch the newer one today? Was it Wayne Brady's on it?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was a fan, but I did enjoy watching it. Monty Hall was great. And I think they have the perfect host now in Wayne Brady. And I know this because my sister watches the show religiously. One of the cool things I liked about the show, you talked about the deals they had to make, but I thought the coolest aspect of the show is when they pulled somebody out the audience and pertaining to whatever their costume was. Let's say somebody comes out as a school teacher, like, I'll give you $100 if you got a ruler on you or something like that, and sometimes it'd be the most obscure thing and people would have it, it's like, wow, so I thought that part was cool, but it's a cool show. Wouldn't say I was a fan, but I enjoyed it, and I don't watch it today, but I think daytime television is for the devil, but it's the worst, man. It just brain numbing, in my opinion. But I thought it was a cool show, especially when it came out.
Very good. Skinner, Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah, it was a show my mom watched back in the day, and we watched the reruns. And here early on, when I came home from the office a couple years ago, I was introduced to it with Wayne Brady, and you're right, he's a hell of a guy for that particular part because he's a very good entertainer, to say the least.
He'd probably be good at anything you did like that.
His improv, especially with singing, just off the cuff, is absolutely phenomenal. But it's an enjoyable show for sure.
All right, very good. Also on the 30th, I don't need a comment necessarily, but just thought it was interesting. In 1953, the first color television went on sale by RCA. It was the NTSC color television created by RCA.
Wow.
It went on sale in 1953 for, this is the price then, $1,175 back in 1953. Think about that. That's a heck of a lot of money.
That's amazing.
In today's standards, let alone 1953. I don't have the conversion on the inflation and whatnot there, but that's obviously amazing. A fortune.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely for only the very well-to-do in the 50s had a color television. I don't remember seeing any around when I was a kid until, I mean, I had a black and white television in my room even for a while in the late 70s, early 80s, and until the earlier, I mean, late 70s, early 80s, it was definitely more affordable, I guess, but just a fascinating to think about how much that cost back then.
The crazy thing, though, I got to say about a color television is it was amazing when it came out. It was new, so everybody was excited about it. But there are certain shows today that I refuse to watch in color. I think it loses something. I'm just not entertained. I will not watch the Andy Griffith Show in color. It's just utterly boring. Now, I know also Don Knotts is on the color versions too, but it's just not the same show as it is in black and white. It's weird to say that, but there's just certain shows that are just better in black and white than there is in color. Then there's shows that when color came out, it changed everything. You could see the beauty of what was really around them. So it's kind of interesting when you look at it like that. You never knew how beautiful the scenery was till the color came out. I can't think of any off the bat, but there's certainly quite a few of those.
Yeah. Skinner, any thoughts on the...
I did a quick conversion, 1953 money. I just did $1,000 to make it quick. $11,150 in today's money.
Wow.
Pretty incredible. So that's, you look at all the old TV shows. You can go look back to Leave It to Beaver, all the movies from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Even in those movies with the rich people, they didn't have televisions back then. Leave It to Beaver, I don't remember ever seeing a TV on that television show, but they sure as hell had a turntable and a radio, an AM radio, because that's where they got their entertainment from. But yeah, $11,000. That explains to you why people didn't have TVs till the 70s.
Wow. Yeah, it's something. Yeah, I'm kind of with you with the whole black and white versus color thing. To me, if it was originally shot in black and white, that's how I wish to see it. It's like there is a colorized version of It's a Wonderful Life we talked about here and other classic movies. To me, I'm sticking with the original
version of I have the colorized version of Casablanca. I watched it one time.
Yeah.
I was like, it was great to see once, and I want to watch it again in black and white. I mean, in color.
Yeah. All those classic television shows, Munsters, Twilight Zone, like you said, the original Andy Griffith. If it was shot in black and white, that's where it lives on in my brain.
Yes.
And I shouldn't mess with it, but yeah, pretty amazing. Great. And then in December 31st, all the way back in 1972, was the very first New Year's Rockin' Eve. So the Dick Clark New Year Rockin' Eve made its debut back in 72. It was meant to counter with the Guy Lombardo special on New Year's Eve, which was, I remember that was a staple in my grandparents' house here growing up, seeing Guy Lombardo play Auld Lang Syne. But it was for a younger audience. And obviously, Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve is still on the air to this day.
Still on the air today.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. But that's the one growing up, that'd be the one I would go to.
That's the only one to watch, man.
Shot in New York with seeing the New York, the big ball drop in New York City is always a thing.
Was that Ryan Seacrest doing it today?
Ryan Seacrest does it today, right? And these days I probably know maybe one out of every 30 bands. I feel like I probably recognize anymore, literally. But yeah, was that a staple? You already kind of mentioned already. So Dick Clark's Rockin' It was kind of more of a staple in your household on New Year's Eve, Keith?
Yeah. I mean, New Year's Eve was lame if you didn't watch that. I mean, that was obviously if you're someone who didn't go out or weren't old enough to go out, that was the place to be and to watch. You felt like you were part of what was going on, and it was great. And of course, back then we saw a lot of acts that we kind of knew who they were. There are acts that still burn in my brain that I either saw for the first time or I'll never forget. Them debuting. Even recently, years ago, I'll never forget, I heard Jessie J for the first time doing I can't even think of a song right now, but I was like, who the heck is Jessie J? And of course now she's, well known, but she debuted on that show. But I feel like now if I watch it, God, my gosh, I'm old and lame. I should be out somewhere. But back in the day, it was a place to be.
Skinner, any thoughts on the New Year Rockin' Eve?
That's the only thing we watch on television to this day. But yeah, if we didn't go out, especially it was high school and young age, that was the show that was what was on TV, and we tip our glasses at midnight to that. But yeah, I agree with you, Fish. As far as the acts that are on there now, I don't know any of these people. Once in a blue moon, they'll put somebody on that we actually may know of. Whether you like or dislike is a different story. But the acts that they put on there today are all for the younger folk and the pop music, which is something I don't listen to. So,
the price tag. That's a Jesse J song. Yes.
Yeah, it says here that it originated on CBS. It was on NBC. Excuse me. And then it moved over to it was NBC. Excuse me. Yeah, so NBC, and it was not hosted by Dick Clark originally. So NBC started there. They had a couple episodes of that, and then they went over to ABC in 1975. And that's where Dick Clark assumed the hosting role, and that's the role he held all those years then until 2004, when the poor man suffered a stroke. And then you might recall that that's when Regis Philbin stepped in. Yeah. And then Seacrest stepped in the year after to serve as co-host.
Seacrest is like a modern-day Dick Clark.
Kinda.
Yeah, sort of, a little bit.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in years. I don't watch the show anymore. I'd rather watch something else now. Of course, New Year's Eve, I'd rather be performing somewhere or at church or something like that. But I have to see Seacrest kind of a perfect fit for that role.
Yeah, I'm with you. And these days, you're right. I'm kind of with you. I maybe turn it on like at 11:30.
Yeah.
And see a little bit. So
11:55. I'll turn it off. I'm home.
Yeah, get my feel of feeling old and lame like yourself, as far as I don't know anybody that's around. I don't know what's going on, who these people are usually. And people that I do recognize are some like weird hosts anymore. Like last year they had Cyndi Lauper, who was like, I wonder if 2% of the crowd knew who she was. Perhaps. Right. I don't even know.
That's crazy.
Anyway, yeah. All right, that's what we got here, guys, this week. We come to this is the final episode that we are shooting.
Wow.
In the year 2022. So we get back together, I think, right? It's going to be 23. And we'll talk about, so Keith suggested off camera, and we'll talk about some of our least favorite things over the past year, and stuff like that, pop culture wise and all that. So we'll talk more about that next week. So Keith, any announcements or anything, sir, before we wrap it up here, sir?
Just a couple. If you're in the Akron area listening to the show, and big shout out to Pat Enix, very big fan of the show. Appreciate you so much, brother. In your comments. So feel free to comment to us on Facebook or whatnot. But if you're in the Akron area, we are still collecting hats and coats and scarves for the homeless. Going to be driving around, passing those out to people in the streets. We're going to go to some homeless shelters and give them out. Contact me through Facebook, Keith Porter, or whatever. I'll be happy to pick the stuff up. But also, January 21st, Mixed Nuts returns to the sale, and that show starts at 8 o'clock, and the sale in. I always forget where the address is on that place, and I do have a flyer right here. But the sale in is. Oh, I don't have an address, but you can look it up. The sale in, and we'll be out there on the 21st. So come on out, have some fun.
We'll post something here on our Facebook page. It came from GenX. We'll post something about your shows and all that stuff. So
yeah, and go on YouTube, check out Rock Generations Christmas medley we put together in 1 week, recorded it in 1 week, and shot a video in 1 week. Give a like to it, leave a comment. Rock Generation Christmas medley, appreciate it.
Yeah, very good. And for me, before I throw it over to Skinner here, we talked about it a lot already, but just you check me out on the Convincing Idiots podcast with Dean and Nick every week for pop culture focused craziness and fun. And,
lots of fun.
So find me there. Skinner, any announcements, sir? And then you could take us out whenever you are ready, sir.
Nope, no announcements here. Just appreciate the last year, all the laughs, all the time that we've spent. You two are brothers of mine and have been for many, many, many years. And like I said on Fisher's birthday post, cheers to the last 35 years, and cheers. I'll use my water bottle. Cheers for another 35, making many, many more memories. So
absolutely.
For my brothers, Brian Fisher and Keith Porter, I'm Michael Skinner. We're the guys from GenX. We appreciate you. Our listeners, stay tuned for the end of year wrap up per se next week. And hope you had a Merry Christmas, and we certainly hope for a prosperous and a Happy New Year. Take care, folks.
Stay strong, GenX.
Deuces.
Hey, Fish here from It Came From GenX with Skinner and Keith. For every like and subscribe, you may win a free 1-year subscription to the AARP.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, guys. Good show. In 3, 2.
You know what? I need 10 more minutes.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm going to run to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Yeah, y'all can kiss my white ass.